All right, guys, I had mentioned this several times in this current YouTube video that you're watching, and then also I got a lot of really good positive feedback on the last YouTube video, but a lot of people came to me more through DMs on Instagram saying, hey Matt, like, just here to support you, support what you're doing. We appreciate that you're being vulnerable with us in the sense that, you know, we realize that you don't have any of these like hierarchy of, super important goals right now. I'm not training for anything specific, but yet just being transparent with you guys about where I'm at. So a lot of the questions that came in were, hey, can you share your workout program with us? Or how did you design your workout program based off of, essentially starting from scratch? And I am more than happy to share the program. We can share it here. It'll either be in the video or in the comment section below. But more than that, and this is, from my background in coaching, I think if you guys understand systems and you have goals and structure in place in terms of, what is the overarching goal of the training program? What are you wanting to accomplish? What factors need to be included in that? If you understand those things, then the actual programming itself really, I think, falls in place. So I wanted to just kind of break down what my hierarchy of importance was within the training program. That way, you guys can then say, okay, I understand Matt's, what are mine? And then from that, then putting in the actual variables of the program itself are going to be a lot easier. And then as you guys go through the program, just a side note, please understand that right now, a lot of loading and knee flexion for me is still hard. So within the program, compound lifts for me are super important, more so within strength rep ranges than hypertrophy rep ranges. But for you guys, consider that. Like, I'm hip hinging every day because I can't load my knee joint as I want to, okay? Now, ideally, once I can load my knee joint and I can get into flexion and I'm comfortable there and there's no pain, the program is going to transfer over and change to at least a 1-to-1 ratio of knee flexion to hip extension, all right? So, within my program hierarchy, and I really don't want to say that any of these are more important than others, but mine is time. Time is super important to me, so making the most of the time that I have and designing a program that is the overall biggest bang for your buck. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, and I'm going to break these down in a little bit more detail. Two is overall workout structure. So what is important to me from a workout structure standpoint also goes back to time. We basically have 3 different types of workout structures and then even more within that, but I would say the 3 different types are total body, upper lower split. Obviously you have push-pull legs, and then you have single body part, so there's 4 there. But for me, hypertrophy is not the main focus, so I wanted to do things that aligned with my first pillar, which was time. Goal number 3, or pillar number 3 for me, was performance-based versus aesthetics, and I'll go into more detail about this, but again, my primary focus within training is, 1, getting back strength that I lost, but then also better supporting myself for when I'm able to go back to a lot of aerobic conditioning and a lot more aerobic training. So right now, in the deconditioned state that I'm in, I know that if I were to jump, even with a healthy knee, if I were to jump right back into aerobic training, my body would break down because of over the last, since December, the amount of breakdown that I had in my body just due to complete lack of activity was greater than what it was over the 6 months when I wasn't weightlifting, but I was doing intensive aerobic training with cycling, biking, and swimming every day. Cycling and running, not cycling and biking. So that was another focus for me. And then really within this, the one thing that I lost during training specifically for triathlon, and there's a season for that, there's a reason for it, but now that's not my focus, and I went into why training for triathlon right now within this season of life that I'm in the last video, is not my focus. I want to get back to being strong within the core lifts, and for me, the core lifts that I'm able to do right now are deadlifts, some type of bench press, and then some type of push press or overhead press and pull-ups. I've always been very weak on my pull-up strength, so that's always, within programming, that's a goal that I want to work on, but I really want to get back to just being able to be strong within those core movements. And then lastly, and this is a pillar for me, which might not be a pillar for you, I actually touched on this in the workout this morning, is properly rehabbing. And I think rehab is such a tedious thing for me because, or a tedious thing for a lot of people because it's not fun. It doesn't really allow you to progress in terms of strength load as much as it does getting the muscle back to a point of then being able to load it for strength. So it's just tedious and boring, you know. So that's why I'm putting that at the beginning of my training, so that way at the end of my training I don't just, you know, justify in my head a reason not to do it or not run out of time. So even if I do run out of time, going back to pillar number 1, the most important thing for me right now is rehabbing my calf, getting that strength back, getting the mobility back. So I put that in there as well. So again, from a time standpoint, and you know, to break this down for you guys further, my goal within my day is to do some cardiovascular activity to help Jordan with the boys, and that's going to be a dynamic process. The closer she gets to, or really when she has a baby in August, I know that it's going to be my responsibility to get the boys ready in the morning. So I'm designing a workout program around cardio before they wake up, being actually present while they're awake to help get them ready for school, get one or both of them to school, and then come in and train. So I design, you know, my design and my thought process from a time standpoint was I want to do a full body workout 3 days a week. And really the main reason why I want to do full body is because when life happens or events happen, or I'm not able to work out on a Wednesday or a Friday, or I have a doctor's appointment, or we have an important meeting, and within the time that I have to work out, and that's also something, like, I'm really trying to not compromise family time. So more often than not, if I have something to do at 8:45 in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning, which is my designated workout time, if I'm not able to do it then, I'm not going to compromise and train at 4:30 when I can leave and go home at 4:30 and spend time with the boys. Because the reality of the situation is, the boys are up at 7 o'clock in the morning. We leave for school by 7:35. And if I get home at 5:30, we put them to bed at 8. So I have 2.5 hours, and I really don't even count. From 7 to 7:30, that's not quality time at all. That's like, hey, let's hurry up, let's get ready, let's get fed, let's brush your teeth, let's make sure you have your underwear on the right way, and let's get out the door, you know? So like, that's not quality time. And then if I am compensating, or if I am allowing my workout time to go into that 5:30 to 8 o'clock window, then I'm missing time with them there too. And those are things that I just don't want to compromise anymore. So time is important to me. How I spend my time, and also how I delegate within my workout structure is super important. So that being said, when it comes to exercise selection, thinking about time, I'm always going to go for the biggest bang for my buck type workouts. I'm not going to lay out for you guys exercise by exercise what I'm doing, but structurally what I'm doing is I'm going from compound, multi-joint, to then accessory that supports that multi-joint, to then any type of injury prevention last. Okay, so that's typically my flow is compound, accessory to the compound, injury prevention, or just things that I know that my body is insufficient in or lacking in or structurally wrong. Like for example, this morning, again, I did the adductors as that injury prevention type category within the workout structure, okay? Pillar number 2, overall workout structure. So again, this kind of flows into time as well, but I really felt it was important to me, and this also goes into goal number 4, which is total body strength. So we know, whether Peter Attia talks about it, Huberman talks about it, a big thing when it correlates to longevity is total body strength, grip strength, things of that nature, dead body weight dead hangs off of a pull-up bar. Obviously, I think deadlifts are one of those things that matter, because not only are you incorporating grip strength, but you're also incorporating truly pulling something with no eccentric component to it, just a dead weight off the ground. So those are things that I want to focus on. And actually, I read George Clooney the other day. I think he just turned 60, and he was talking about being physically fit, and he said that for the majority of his older adult years, from the age of 30 to 60, there's not much that he can do or can't do now that he could do at 30. And I was like, that's a really cool goal. So granted, I'm 35. There were specific strength things that I could do 18 months ago that I can't do now. So I want to get back to those. I want to get back to a true baseline of being able to do those things in a natural state. And then my goal really, honestly, isn't to progress them much further. I don't have this goal to put on a ton of muscle. I want to put on a little bit of muscle and then just regain the strength that I lost. So when it comes to this workout structure, Ideally, on a perfect week, I'm training 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, total body every day, compound movement first every day, secondary compound movement after that, and then working on to, the fluff accessory work after that part. But within that being said, I want to make sure that I'm always prioritizing the biggest bang for your buck, the most demand on your body, the things that are going to make you hold that muscle and just maintain that over time. So that's a big focus within what I'm doing. Performance-based, again, for me, like I truly enjoyed training for triathlon so much, and really right now I miss being able to go out and go for a run. I miss being able to run with other people. I miss the camaraderie and the community of that. So my goal within this training that I've developed is to, yes, get stronger, yes, have a plan for longevity, yes, be able to hold and maintain, some strength goals over time for the long period. But I also want to be able to, when I am given the clearance to run, when my knee is better, I want to be able to do that without having breakdowns. So performance-based within having strong glutes, having strong adductors, making sure that my tibialis and my calves are strong, and then more so just overall longevity strength goals for my upper body is where we're at right now. Also, I've mentioned to you guys that I do have a desire to train in high rocks, so a lot of the performance-based goals and the structure of the workout is prioritizing things trained within high rocks. Sled pushes, sled pulls. Sled pulls I can't do yet because of my knee, but I will program those in. And then overhead press. Overhead press is a big focus of mine, from the Z press position, which is seated on the floor, legs straight, pressing overhead. A ton of core strength and engagement is recruited there. And then also just standing overhead press, which you guys saw me do this morning. I touched on the total body strength. I don't really want to do that again, but I think it would be like really cool for me to have a goal of to be able to squat and deadlift 405, and then I want to hold that, and I want to be able to say it when I'm 40. I want to be able to say it when I'm 45, and then we'll see. But like even if it drops off some, I think having the goal of holding it there and having that be in the forefront of my brain rather than getting weaker over time, because that's what happens. Like, as people age, they're allowing that to happen because they've let go of something that was allowing them to maintain that strength, and just not allowing that to happen. I think your body's not going to break down. Jordan's grandfather is a great example of this. I mean, I don't know if he's still doing it to this day, but he's 90 years old and he's chopped wood his entire life, and that's a really cool thing. Super active, and it shows. Like, he's a very healthy 90-year-old man, and he's also still very strong. And then the last one, I kind of touched on this, but just to kind of drive it home, because I think this is the pillar for me that's important for me, that's not going to be important for a lot of you guys. Whether you are a dad like myself, you are trying to prioritize your family, but yet still have some goals for yourself. I put the injury prevention in there because I know that if I don't prioritize it, it's going to show its head, in the future. So I, again, am making sure that I'm prioritizing the things within my programming to address that, because it's an issue now, and if I don't address it now, it's going to be a much bigger issue come down the road. So that really is how I design my program. Again, guys, what I would make sure that you're doing is have a sufficient warm-up, make sure you're warm, and then I would prioritize your components based off of time, or really honestly how your body feels. So yes, I would argue that in terms of hierarchy of importance, going from multi-joint to single joint is the way that most programming should work. But yet, if you have a day where you feel off, you feel overly beat up, going through that in reverse cycle, I also don't think is a bad thing. And I actually did that the other day. I played soccer with the boys over the weekend. My knee was sore, my joints were sore. Monday I got in here and I did Monday's workout in reverse order because I knew that I would feel better going into deadlifts, even if my absolute strength wasn't as strong than if I did them first when my body was kind of feeling beat up and just not fully recovered. So allow yourself the ability to be flexible within your program, but don't allow yourself to constantly justify or talk yourself, there's a better word, but like, don't allow yourself to talk yourself out of your program. And I think having set variables is super important, but at the same time, like, listen to your biofeedback. If something feels off, skip it. If you feel like you can put it in the workout later, do it later. For example, I have sled pulls and I have sled pushes in this workout. Right now, a sled pull hurts my knee, so I'm not doing it. But yet I will get there eventually. All right. So have a goal, stick to what you put down on paper, but also allow your body's biofeedback to kind of dictate the way, especially as we are getting older and our joints hurt and things ache, and you need to listen to it. So that's the structure. Again, I'm going to lay this out for you guys in full. It'll be in the comment section, but I also wanted to give you guys more so the understanding and reason to why I'm doing what I'm doing, rather than, hey guys, here's my workout, enjoy it. All right? What's up, guys? It is Wednesday, March 5th. Getting in here for my morning training. What I've been doing actually is I'm really trying to prioritize my actual rehab of my calf, and just full transparency, if I don't do it first, then I don't do it. So I've been putting that at the beginning of every workout. You guys, it's just very simple stuff. It's tib raises, dorsiflexion, activation while keeping my heel on the ground, single leg calf raises. What I've been noticing within the incisions that I showed you guys, this incision here is more muscular fatigue and sore. And then this incision in the back is more like I just have a lot of scar tissue built up there. So when I'm activating it, I don't really feel this at all. Like, this doesn't cause me issues. This causes me more issues once my body, post-workout, I've cooled down, it just gets really stiff. And then when I go to walk, that's when I feel this. Whereas this, like, I get more soreness and fatigue here through actual activation. So I would say there's more actual muscle damage that I need to repair here. And then this is more scar tissue that I need to break down over time. So I'm just trying to prioritize that again, because like when I get back to running, I don't want to be derailed where I have tib issues and I have these calf issues and I have imbalances left to right. So I'm training everything unilaterally just to make sure that I get that. So we're going to hit the rehab portion first and then get into the training after that. I talked about this last week on Instagram, but just for all you guys as well, especially if you're new to running, if you've had issues with running, I cannot overstate enough how important it is to train tibialis and calves. I would say a lot of people, there's an imbalance between strength of a weak tib and then strong calves, which causes issues. But you know, even in here, as there's more and more guys within, you know, the employees that we have and just guys that I work with on a daily basis that are picking up running, they love it, they fall in love with it, they drive their volume up too quick, and all of a sudden they have all these issues on the front of their legs. So just make sure, you know, you guys saw me all through the fall. It was just a very simple body weight calf raises, body weight tib raises every single day before every single workout. You know, just make sure you're getting that activation and building strength there, improving and getting those imbalances worked out, so that way you don't, you know, start, love it, and then you're sidelined. You know, that's one of the most frustrating things about endurance sport, is to start it, start making progress, start getting your heart in better shape, and then all of a sudden you can't do it anymore. All right, so just make sure you're doing these things. I would recommend both, you know, some body weight activation stuff before your runs, and then also specifically strength train them, and then you're gonna be fine. But I'm gonna start with, and the way that I wrote this initially was just straight sets on deadlift, and then straight sets on overhead press, okay? And what I'm doing is I'm varying my grip, or I'm varying the hip hinge on the deadlift every other day because I can't squat right now. And then overhead press is an important movement for me for high rocks specifically, and I also just think it's an important movement for just longevity, strength, absolute strength. So one thing within the program that I wanted to lay out for you guys, and I'll talk in more detail, is what I've been doing now, because I don't think that my absolute strength or my relative strength in relation to absolute strength is all that high right now as I'm working my way back up. So I've been doing this as a time superset. So obviously there are two demanding lifts going from one compound movement to the next, and I'm just putting about like a minute in between, just so that way I can work through both of them quickly, especially the warm-up sets. And then as needed, based off of what I really like to gauge is my rate of perceived exertion, or how quickly, you know, how fast I'm breathing. Once I finish the set, I'll let that calm down, let the heart rate, because obviously there's a correlation between breathing rate and heart rate, let that get back down, and then I'll push press and just kind of work between the two. So that's how I've been setting this up, and really the reason why I'm doing this, and again, for the dads out there, people that are crunched for time, I'm just trying to make the most of the time that I have and not have this be an hour-and-a-half session. A hyperextension, I think for so many people, they're not actually really engaging their lower half at all. It's just literally a back bend. But what I'm trying to do is I'm really trying to drive the back of my legs into this pad and then almost like, engage my hamstrings and then curl myself up. And then rather than making it just a back bend, I'm trying to drive my hips into the pad. So that's the biggest thing there. And then you guys will see I'm training adductors a lot just because I feel like that's an area that I end up straining a lot. So similar to what I talked about at the beginning of the workout, where I feel like training tibialis is really important. I also feel like training adduction from a lengthened position is super important, especially for myself biomechanically. So I'm not really like overly focused on weight. What I'm really focused on is like overly emphasizing the stretch and then just holding at peak contraction to strengthen at both ends of the range. All right, guys, that's it for today. Gonna head upstairs, get into some emails. Just getting emails off my plate is like one of the biggest things that I like getting done first thing in the morning. And then I have some meetings this afternoon, and we'll just kind of take the day from there.